Good morning. How's everybody doing out there on Facebook? In Facebook world. Yeah, this is Jonathan Harris, Senior. And if you guys know, I never ever go live. Ever go live. But this morning I'm going to go live. I'm going live. And this morning I have a word, and I hope it blesses many others. I hope it blesses a lot of people, and I hope that through the Holy Spirit that people get some sort of relief, some sort of understanding. Today in today's world, I think so many of us, we look towards the word being given or spoken by the traditional minister, the guy that has a nice car and a nice home and all the beautiful things that are material of this world, and we feel as though that's the person that we can get a word from. But in all honesty, in today's society, I think it's time that from regular, everyday, normal guys such as myself, people that are relatable, or that people that we can relate to, that we get a word from, because I tend to believe that we're living in those times that we need a word from an everyday guy such as myself. Somebody, and I know a lot of people say, well, he clown on Facebook and he do all these things via Facebook and jokes around and uses profane language and all these different things. But let me explain something to you. Let me just say this. Let me start by saying this, is that, if God can use a donkey, now follow me, if God can use a donkey, how much more than he can use an everyday guy such as myself? And I also wanted to say, I'm a recovering addict. I'm a recovered addict and alcoholic. Many of you know much of my story. And, the passage that I'm coming from today, I hope that it blesses not only just addicts and alcoholics, but anybody that's suffering from sin, anybody that's been living a riotous life. I hope that you're blessed this morning. My life was a struggle. Drugs and alcohol really, really, really destroyed me. I mean, it brought me down to a derelict, in the streets. And again, my story is that, the majority of those things was of my own making. Nobody to blame. My mom, not my mom, my brothers, my sisters, my best friend, my friends. Nobody in my family, not God. The majority of that was, my own making. But again, I'm just an everyday guy that's coming with a word this morning. And again, I hope that it blesses, somebody this morning. I see my man Terry Hudson is tuned in. Good morning, bro. I see Jaffa. Hey, Jaffa. I see Catherine. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And now the passage that I'm coming out of, I know that you guys have heard, maybe your pastor, or you've heard this passage preached many a time. It's the story of the prodigal son. It's one of my favorite passages in the Bible because I can so relate and identify with, the things that happen, the storyline, the parable. I can so relate and identify with it. So it's one of my favorite passages, in the Word. And again, I hope that somebody's blessed. And I hope that somebody really, gets blessed by it. And I hope it changes some lives. I hope through the Holy Spirit that God uses me to help somebody out there struggling. Because, the reality of it is that none of us are perfect. But God is, God is a loving, caring God. He doesn't care how we come to him, when we come to him. What point in our lives that we come to him. All he cares about is the fact that we come. And it's the story of the prodigal son. And as I read, I want you to ask yourself this question. Like, which son am I? Which son am I? Or have I been both sons at some point in time in my life? And the story comes out of the book of Luke, the 11th chapter. Wait, let me get it right. It comes out of the book of Luke 15, and it starts at the 11th verse. And the Bible goes on to read, it says, and he said, a certain man had 2 sons. And the younger of them said to his father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. And he divided unto them his living. Which means that there were 2 sons, and one of the sons asked for his inheritance. He asked for his father to give him all of his goods. And I can so relate and identify with that, because I can remember when, I was a kid that was fortunate, that, was blessed with a mom that worked hard, and I had a lot of things, and she raised us in the church, and and she tried to make sure that we were instilled with a certain level of spirituality through Christ and through the church. And I can remember thinking to myself, when I got a certain age, I just wanted to be grown. I wanted to be an adult. I wanted all my goods. I wanted everything that that God had already given me. He already had, because the Bible says that we were predestined from birth. So, I wanted all of those things, and that on this journey, I wanted all those things in advance. I wanted to be on my own. I'm grown. You can't tell me nothing. And I wanted everything now. So I can remember, and I can identify with that son that said, give me my portion. And in verse 13, it goes on to say, it says, and now many days after, the younger son gathered all together. He put all his stuff together, and he took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. See, I can remember having all the things that were bestowed upon me, given to me, and taking my will back and going out into a foreign country. And that foreign country, see, and a lot of people, and if you understand what that foreign country is, see, I was raised a certain way like many of you. And when I decided to take my will, and I'm grown and I'm an adult and I'm going to go live my life and I'm going to do what I want to do and just put aside all the things that I was raised on, all the principles and morals, and I put all that stuff aside, and I chose to go out there in the streets, and I got addicted to drugs, and I got addicted to alcohol. See, I was in a foreign country. I was outside of the realm of my comfort, of the realm of those morals and principles that I was given. See, I was no longer in that country. I had transitioned into a foreign country. I had gone out into a foreign country, and I was living riotous. And I wasted all my substance, all my morals, all my values. And it says in verse 14, it says, and when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want. See, I can remember when I was out there smoking crack, and I was on my last hit. See, I can remember that I had squandered and blown all my money, and I can remember those times when I was in want, when I had absolutely nothing. And I can remember when I was in want. See, I can remember, I can identify with right now in 2020. See, we have situation going on. We have a coronavirus out there, right? And and I can just picture people right now living out there in that foreign country, out there in that world. Everybody panicking about the coronavirus and all of these things that are going on. Some of you have gone away from your teachings that your parents may have raised you on with these morals and values. And some of you, even some women, and see, I don't want anybody to think that this is gender specific. Because see, when God talks about man, it's all inclusive. He means man and woman. So I don't want the women out there to think that because he's talking about two sons that he's only talking about, men. No, it's not gender specific. He's talking about, so if you're a woman out there, I want you to place yourself in that position of understanding, of being able to relate in spite of, it's not about the fact that you're a woman. I want you to be able to put yourself in this young man's shoes, in this young woman's shoes. Because see, some of you have gone out and prostituted yourself. Some of you have gone out and gotten on crack yourself. Some of you have gone out and slept with other people's husbands. Some of you have done so many things that you felt as though were unforgivable. And I'm here to tell you that this morning that is the lie. That's a lie, and the devil is a liar. Right? And it says that, he wasted his substance with riotous living. And it says in verse 14, I'm going back to verse 14, it says, and when he spent all, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into the fields to feed the swine. See, I can remember when I was out there in that foreign country, right? And I was, running up and down the streets like a chicken with my head cut off, smoking all the crack in the land, or smoking all the crack that I could possibly smoke and drinking all the alcohol I could possibly drink to just to the point of inebriation. And I was just so hurting and in so much pain. See, I can remember there were some dope dealers that I was buying dope from that showed a little bit of compassion. And I can remember, although it wasn't what the beautiful thing, see, because the love that my mom had for me, the love that my family had for me, it was unequivocal. You couldn't equate that to what, when I was in that foreign country and I was in that land, but there were a few guys that I guess you could consider friends, that were dope dealers that sent me out in the field. That gave me an opportunity to maybe get a juice, a jungle punch, or a quarter bag of chips from the corner store. And it says right here, it says he joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into the fields to feed swine. Now remember, I told you in the beginning I come from a pretty good family I was raised with morals and values. And here I am, running up and down Sappadilla, running up and down Tamron Avenue. And if you're not from West Palm Beach, this is the hood. And here I am, a guy that was from the Westwood expansion. Mom was an educator, a teacher. And here I am running up and down Tamron like a chicken with my head cut off, right? In this foreign land, in this foreign country. Feeding swine. Had the best of everything. But here I am, and the Bible, a lot of times, it speaks figuratively. It's not literally, but it's figuratively. It's figurative. And here I am, Jonathan Harris, born and had everything you could possibly imagine. And here I am, running up and down the streets like a chicken with my head cut off. And that's how I felt. Like I was brought to a level of feeding swine. Right? And in verse 16, it goes on to say that, and he would fain and have filled his belly with the husk that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. See, I can remember that I allowed myself and I positioned myself to be in a place where, I was just eating amongst individuals and people. I had gotten that low where I was feeding off what the pigs ate. I was at a point in my life that I was that low, that my life had gotten that bad, that I went all the way from eating steak, when I went from eating, lobster, when I went from having the greatest meals and prepared for me that you could possibly imagine, to going and living in that foreign country, to becoming, almost like, Drake had a song, 0 from 100. See, I became a 0. And I was just, and I was surviving off what the swine was eating, what the pigs were eating. I had come that low in my life. And my life had gotten to the point that it had gotten that low. Right? And in verse 17, it goes on to say, it says, and when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough to eat, to spare, and I perish with hunger? So in other words, he's saying, how many of my father's servants? He's talking about the servants, see, because understand that, this is the son. And this is one of the two of the sons that took his inheritance and that chose to go and blow it all. That chose to go live amongst the prostitutes, the thieves, the beggars, the borrowers. He chose to live that life. He chose to go out into that world and live that riotous life. So now it says that he came to himself. How many of you got to a point that after all that hell that you put yourself through, that something just, came upon you, your spirit was wakened, it was quickened. And you came to yourself and you looked around and you said, what the hell am I doing? Wait a minute. I know Miss Johnson ain't raised me this way. See, I know Eileen Wilburn didn't raise me like this. This is not how I'm supposed to be living. What in the hell have I done? Where have I came to? Look at how I'm living. Look at this place that I've come to. See, I came to a point that I came to my senses when I was sleeping in the Palm Beach post office down on Clematis Avenue, sleeping on the cold floor in the winter. And one Sunday morning, I woke up and I looked around and I said, wait a minute. What the hell am I doing? What am I doing? And I looked around and it was like, God's spirit is like I had an epiphany. I looked at myself, I said, wait a minute, Jonathan, what are you doing? This ain't living. This is not how you supposed to be living. Bro, you have gone from the Westwood expansion to living and sleeping in the Palm Beach post office on Clematis Avenue in West Palm Beach on the floor. And I looked around and I said to myself, wait a minute, no. And in verse 18, it goes on to say, I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee. And in verse 19, it says, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy hired servants. So at that point, see, I was out of desperation because let me explain something to you. See, God has a program of recovery. It's called AA. I'm a member of Cocaine Anonymous, and I can remember out of desperation when I went into treatment, I came and I came to myself and I said to myself, I said, you know what, man, if y'all just let me in, just give me an opportunity. Just let me lay on the bed. Just give me a bed. See, because a lot of us have egos. And a lot of us are in our minds, are legends in our own minds. We feel that we are the great I am. See, but at that point, out of desperation and out of humility and being humble, I just said to myself, man, if y'all just give me a bed, just give me an opportunity. I'll accept being the least at this point in my life. See, I don't have to be the greatest basketball player that I aspired to be when I was younger. I don't have to be the greatest musician, the greatest rap artist. I don't have to be any of those things at this moment and at this time. Because see, out of desperation right about now, all I want is a bed. All I want to be is just regular old somebody that's given an opportunity to sleep in a bed tonight. Because a lot of those days it was cold out there in those streets. And it was rainy. And the lady would come at 4 o'clock in the morning in the post office to clean it up and run us out of there. So at that point in time, out of desperation, just give me a bed. Just give me somewhere to lay my head tonight. Just let me be a hired servant, God. And it says, in verse 20, it says, and he rose and came to his father. But when he was yet great way off, his father saw him and had compassion and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. See, let me tell you something. See, when Jonathan came out of that post office that Sunday morning, see, I had $5 in my pocket. And normally that $5 that I had in my pocket, that $5 was my $5 to wake up in the morning to get me a 4-pack of natural ice. See, I know some of y'all know what I'm talking about when I talk about that natural ice, because that was my wake up. That's what I used to wake up on. I used to wake up on a cold 4-pack of natural ice. And that was my time, and that was my $5 that I had. But see, God had something different in store. God said, nah, not this morning. Because see, I was just like the prodigal son. See, I woke up and look around and I said, wait a minute, what the hell am I doing? This is not what Miss Wilburn's son. This is not how Miss Wilburn raised Jonathan Harris. Devil, you a liar. And I took that $5 that I normally would wake up to get that 4-pack of natural ice. I took that $5 and God's spirit spoke to me, and it said, you know what, Jonathan, this is what you need to do. It said you had a court case that you were on probation, and see, they recommended that you do an assessment at DAF. And this is how God said he'll bring back things to remembrance. And see, although at the time when I was going to court and they put me on probation, that looked like a bad situation. That looked like something that was negative. But see, I'm going to show you how God will turn a negative into a positive. Because what he did, he brought back to remembrance the fact that, wait a minute, they told you to go have an assessment at DAF. Remember that, Jonathan? So what you need to do is take that $5 that you would normally go and get that 4-pack of natural ice with, and buy you an all-day bus pass. And find this place they call DAF. Right? See, that's when, see, God looked at me and God saw me coming from afar off. He saw me coming. He was prepared for me to come home. He saw me coming from afar off, from afar away. And he said, and what he did was, when I got that $5 and I got on that bus and got that bus ticket and made my way down to Delray, and I can remember when I got down to Delray, right? I'm not from Delray, so I had no clue where I was and where to go. And I'm walking up Atlantic Avenue, and you know, when you come to Atlantic Avenue, it looked like Walt Disney World. You know, you got people everywhere. You got white folk hanging out. You got black folk, you know, eating and dining and living good, and here I am with a pair of shower slides on, with the clothes that I've had on probably for a week, and I'm looking around saying to myself, man, these people gonna think I'm trying to rob them. You know, I'm dirty, I'm stank, and I'm walking up Atlantic Avenue, and I began just asking people, and I'm like, you know, where's this place? Does anybody know where this DAF place is? And people started giving me direction. Right? God's Holy Spirit started working through people, and people are giving me direction. See, he was afar off. He was afar away. He was already preparing, right? And it says that, and in verse 21, it says, and the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in thy sight, and no more worthy to be called thy son. See, that's how I felt at that time. I felt like that I was worthless. I felt like, man, God, really, you want something to do with me? Me. I've sinned. Look at all of the things that I was raised on. All of the morals, all of the values that you've instilled in my mom to teach me. All of the times that I've gone into Payne Chapel AME Church right there in West Palm Beach on 9th Street with my mom that morning. All of that stuff I've thrown out the window. See, I've done some things in the street that are unforgivable when it comes to man. See, man, if it were left up to man, see, I would have been dead a long time ago, or got 1,000 years in prison a long time ago if it were left up to man. See, that's how I was looking at it. I didn't feel worthy. I said, God, me? I've sinned. I've thrown everything away against my mom. I've cursed my mom. I done fought with my mom. I've been drunk and came home and cussed her out. I said, wait a minute, me? God, me? Huh. Right? And it says in verse 22, it says, now y'all follow me. Check this out. In verse 22, it says, but the father said to his servants, bring forth the best robe and put it on him and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet. And in verse 23 it says, and bring hither the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. See, let me tell you something. The life I lived, the life I chose, the direction I chose. See, I took all of my inheritance, all of the things that were given to me, all of the blessings that I had, and I said, I said, all of the things that you said that you had for me, God, see, I want them now. I said, I'm grown. I looked at my mom and I looked at my situation and I looked at my family and that was my mindset. See, you couldn't tell me nothing. I'm grown. Give me all my inheritance. I'm going to live my life. And guess what that idea, guess what me taking my will back? Guess where I ended up? I ended up in a foreign country. I ended up on the streets of Tamarind. I ended up on the streets of Sapodilla. I ended up buying drugs, buying alcohol, stealing out of stores to support my drug habit, accumulating a jail record that's so long you can take my jail record and go all the way from here, from Delray Beach, Florida, all the way out to Alaska, all the way across over to Russia. That's how long my jail record is. See, I did that. I took my will back. I threw all of my inheritance away, all the morals and values that my mom instilled in me. I threw that and put that on the wayside and went out to that foreign country. But this is what God said. He said, hold on, Jonathan. He said, listen to me. He said, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. He said, listen, when you woke up that morning in that post office, you didn't know I already had a plan. I already had a plan. He said, when you decided to take that $5, see, because for some of us, it's just initiative. We have to take the initiative to begin this process of following and believing. And he said, when you took that $5 and you decided to do something different, he said, man, I was waiting. I was there waiting the whole time. And he said, because he said, you know what? He asked the sheep herder. He said, how many? He said, how many would you just, if you had 20 lamb and one went astray? He said, wouldn't you go to get that one that went astray? See, I went astray. I chose my own will. I took it upon myself to do what I wanted to do. But let me tell you something. Just for one of us, God is waiting. He don't care if it's 1,000 preachers, if it's 1,000 church members, if it's 1,000 people that have been following him the whole time. Just for one of us that go astray, he'll sacrifice everything. Just for one of us. Right? And in verse 24, it goes on to say, now let me just show you something now. So when I chose to do something different, see, God was already there waiting. So what he did, he told his servants, he said, man, y'all bring the fatted cow and kill it and let us eat and be merry. See, he was joyous. He was so happy to see me come back. He was so happy and joyous. See, a lot of people look and see me when I come back to West Palm Beach, and they see that the young lady I'm involved with, she has a nice 2018 Camaro. First of all, that's hers. You know what I mean? But see, that's how God operates. See, he give you the best because he want those people that saw you at your worst. See, when you go back, he wants you to see him. He want those people to see how he operates. Because see, it ain't about Jonathan. That's what people don't realize. They say, oh my God, Jonathan, you looking good. Boy, you doing good. No, don't y'all get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. This is God favor. This is God mercy. That's what this is. That's what y'all witnessing. That's what y'all seeing. Y'all seeing God's mercy. Y'all seeing his favor. So when y'all see me come back up there to the barbershop right there located by the Family Dollar on Palm Beach Lake, when y'all the brothers, and they seen me. They seen when I was drunk and I was dancing up and down the aisles and Mr. Jimmy that owned the barbershop used to ban me from the barbershop. Hey man, you disturbing my customers. You interrupting my business. Jonathan, you need to take a chill pill. You need to go outside, man. You can't come up in here disturbing my business because this is how I eat. See, those people seen me. They saw me at my worst. But God said, go prepare the fatted calf. Let's eat. Let's be merry. Right? Now I'm going to show you something. Y'all follow me, right? And in verse 24 it says, for this my son was dead. Jonathan was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to be married. Now I'm going to tell you something. There are some people, some true friends. There are some true relatives. There are some true people that when they saw Jonathan, that were on my team, that were on my side the whole time. See, it was some people that were happy and that were married, but you always gonna have your haters. But see, if you focused on your haters, then you gonna be distracted. See, because the devil gonna always keep distractions. Don't focus on the haters. Focus on the people that's with you. Build things with those people. Because what I can tell you is that forget about how man felt. What I'm telling you is that when my soul was saved and when God sat from afar off and he saw me coming, see, all that was important at that point. See, God was happy. God was married. And what I can tell you is that my father, when he saw me come back, he was so happy and he was so married. See, y'all getting a chance to see the beauty and the blessing of his joy and his happiness for me coming back. Because see, his grace and mercy is all that spared me. Because again, I told you before, what I shared with you before was, see, if it was left up to man, I would have been dead a long time ago. See, there's some people out there that say he don't deserve that. What is he doing? Who is he? All them people he done robbed, all them people the stores that he done stole out of, all the people he done lied to, all the people he done hurt. No, Jonathan Harris, he don't deserve nothing. Because he ain't nobody. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm here to tell you. See, there's some people out there right now, y'all feeling that way about yourself. But let me explain something to you. Get off that pity pot. Because the devil is a liar. That's a lie. Right? And it goes on to say, now check this out. Now that's why I asked you in the beginning when I went on when I began this passage. I said, which son are you? Ask yourself, which son are you? Because what happens, the Bible goes on to say in verse 25, now here come the hate, y'all. In verse 25, now his elder son was in the field. And as he came and drew nigh, which means near, to the house, he heard music and dancing. Now hold on. This the older son now. Y'all peep this. Here's the older son. He out there in the field and he ain't at the house. He out there in the field. You know what I'm saying? He over there on Blue Heron. You know what I'm saying? He over there on Tamarind. Huh? He over there at Westwood or Gulf Avenue in the Westwood. Huh? But he hearing this music and this dancing coming from that. He saying, wait a minute, what the hell going on? He said, I hear some music, and I hear some dancing. Y'all know how y'all be riding, or y'all be sitting on the front porch, and y'all hear some music. Y'all say, where that music coming from? Some good music. That's my jam. Y'all know it. Come on now. Somebody, come on now. Y'all know, I already know when y'all be sitting on the porch, and y'all hear that music. Y'all say, oh, that's my jam. I wonder where that's coming from. And that's how he was thinking. He was like, ooh, I hear some music, some dancing. What they doing? Now, remember there was two sons. This is the older son. Right? So he hear music and dancing. And in verse 26, it says, and he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant. So he asked one of the servants at his father's house. He said, wait a minute, all this music and dancing. He asked one of the servants, he said, well, what's going on? What does this mean? This is the older son. And in verse 27, it goes on to say, he said unto him, thy brother came. He said, thy brother is come, and thy brother and thy father have killed the fattest cow because he hath received him safe and sound. Huh? So check this out. So the older brother say, okay. So the servant tell the older brother, he say, your father done, cooked up a big meal and he's just happy that, his son came home and they having, a get together, a gathering. Right? Now, in verse 29, right? Wait, hold. Let me go back. It's now in verse 28. Now, which son are you? Because here go. See, here's the hate. In verse 28, it says, and he was angry, and he would not go in. Therefore came his father out and entreated him. Now, check this out. Now, how many people out there that have siblings? That have friends? That said, wait a minute. Jonathan was out there running up and down the street smoking crack, drinking alcohol. He'd have been stealing. He'd have been a piece of junk. Here I am. I ain't never left you, mama. I ain't never left you, daddy. I always been here at the house with you, mama. I always been in the house with you, daddy. Who is Jonathan? What you mean you happy? All the hell he done caused, all the chaos he done caused in our family. The piece of crap that he's become. Wait a minute. How come? What you mean, how come? I love him just as much as I love you. And as a matter of fact, all them prayers and all them gray hairs that I got on my head right now, the fact that he came home. See, you been here the whole time. I thought he was going to get killed out there in the street. I thought I was going to be wearing all black. I thought I was going to be burying him. And here you go. You mean to tell me you have the audacity, you had a nerve to hate? See, in your heart right now, your heart should say, oh, thank God my brother came back. My brother is home. My brother's no longer running up and down the street doing any and everything he can to get another hit. You shouldn't be hating. You should be saying, thank God. Now, it goes on to say in verse 29, it says, and he answering said to his father, lo, these many years, now check, here go to hate. These many years do I serve thee, neither transgressed. Hold on, mama. Hold on, daddy. Hold on, God. I ain't never leave your side. I never went out there and smoked crack. I never slept with prostitutes. I never sinned. I've been here the whole time, Ma. I'm the good son. That's the bad one. Right? He goes on to say, he says, these many years do I serve thee, neither transgressed. I at any time thy commandment, which means anytime you ask me, anytime under your commandment I was there. And yet thou never gavest me a kid that I might make merry with my friends. Hold on now. Check this out. Hold on. Y'all peep this. I've been here the whole time. I've been here with you the whole time. I ain't never left your side. I ain't never went out there. I ain't never smoked crack. See, because I know some of y'all got some siblings, and I know they whispering in your mama or your daddy ear, and they saying to your mama or your daddy, hold on, mama, I ain't never smoked crack. I ain't no much such as took a drink. I ain't never smoked weed. Huh? You ain't never threw no party for me. You ain't never, ordered or Red Lobster for me. You ain't never invited all my friends over and threw no big bash for me. Huh? I'm telling you, y'all got some brothers and sisters that's talking to y'all parents the same way. It's right now. He done went out there and did all that and then went into a foreign country and spent up all his inheritance, got dead broke. Now he want to come back, talking about he needs some money, talking about he has changed, talking about he's a different man. He no longer lives that way. Some of y'all people, I'm telling you, it's some people right now, you got some family members that's talking about you just like that right now. Oh, yeah, I tell you, he ain't nothing. He ain't gonna never be nothing. I'm telling you, he went out there and people talking about him all over town. But God said, but guess what? He's back. I'm just happy to see him come back home. That's right, that part. Right? Now, it goes on to say, the older son was saying, I never transgressed. I at any time, thy commandment. And yet thou never gavest me a kid that I might make merry with my friends. And it goes on to say in verse 30, it says, but as soon as this thy son was come, which hath devoured thy living with harlots, with prostitutes, thou hast killed for him the fattest cow. So as soon as he came back, which spent all his inheritance, spent all his money, gave away all his morals, all his values, all his character, all his dignity, as soon as he came back, this what the oldest son is saying. This what the other son is saying to his father. This what some of y'all siblings are saying to y'all parents. right? In verse 31, it goes on to say, it says, and he said unto him, Son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. So he's basically saying, hold on, you've been with me the whole time. Everything I got, yours. Why are you complaining? Huh? Some of your mama, some of you guys' parents are looking at some of those siblings and they're saying to those siblings, hold on, you've been here. That's right. You've been here the whole time. You've been in the house the whole time. You've been here the whole time. I never had to worry about you. My worry and my concern was always for them. And you know, and if you know any parents out there that love their children, and most parents love their children equally, you know that when one goes astray, that one, even if they have six, even if they have six children, if five at the house, and one out there in them streets, they worry they pull themselves to death about that one. Y'all know that. And it goes on to say in verse 32, it says, it was meet that we should make merry and be glad, for this thy brother was dead and is alive again, and was lost and is found. Now, I pray that, God really bless somebody today, and you can, and if you're suffering, and if you've lived a life of sin, or if you living a life out there in the streets, I hope that somebody can relate and identify with the parable of the two sons of the prodigal son, and it encourages you and inspires you that to do something different, that God is waiting. That he's still the same God that he was yesterday, today, and forevermore. That, he's not a God of judging. That he don't care what you may have done while you were out there in the streets or how you have lived. And he's here waiting. And he loves you the same way he loved you when you were born. When you were birthed from a physical mom, from your mother and your father. He hasn't changed. He doesn't change. And I want you to know that that's a story to not be distracted, because there are going to be some folk that's going to continue to judge you and say that, man, please, he ain't nobody. He's a piece of trash. He's crap. He ain't nothing. And all of a sudden, here he come. Now, I've been here the whole time. Now. I ain't never smoked crack. And here I am. I got, just an everyday job. I just got an everyday family. And here this guy come, and this guy, wait a minute, how he got, see, because some of us can't receive our blessings because we too busy hating. Y'all ain't heard me. Some of us don't understand that y'all ain't never smoked crack, but y'all too busy judging the people that smoke crack. And you still judging the ones that came back that ain't no longer smoking crack. And you wondering why you're stagnant in your growth, in your blessings. Because it's time to stop hating. See, that hating is distracting you. And it's stopping you from going forward and receiving your blessings. See, it ain't about who smoked crack and who didn't smoke crack. See, because I'm going to tell you something. At the same time, when you start thinking about who smoked crack and who haven't smoked crack, the difference between people that are prostituting and the people that are in the streets and the people that are living that riotous life, see, that those things are visible. Those things are seen. See, the world is able to see those things, so it's apparent. So people automatically judge them based on what they see. But how many of us are doing some things that can't be seen? That people don't see? That's judging people based on the things that are seen. And in our sick minds, we're telling ourselves that I'm better. I'm not as bad as them. They running up and down the street barefoot, just had $150, $200, $300 pair of sneakers on their feet, and it's raining and they ain't got no shoe. They started out that morning, because see, I've been that dude. I've been that guy where I woke up in the morning and came out the house with a $300 pair of sneakers on my feet, and at the end of the night, I was barefooted. So when y'all judge me and when y'all look at and talk about, oh, he think he's somebody. He think he got something. He think he this. He think he that. Let me tell you something. I know what it is not to have nothing. And I ain't blaming nobody because it was of my own making. But when you talk about, oh, he got a new pair of shoes today. Oh, he got this or he got that. Let me tell you something. I deserve that. I earned that. Because I know what it is to live with Satan and run up and down the street like a chicken with my head cut off. Wake up in the morning with a $300 pair of shoes and it's raining and I'm walking down the street in the middle of the night with no shoes on my feet. Done sold them for a dime rock for $5. Huh? That part. But I pray to God that somebody got blessed this morning, and I appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a biblical scholar. Not any of those things. I just pray to God that the Holy Spirit used me because it says that the Holy Spirit came to teach, lead, guide, and direct us and teach us all things. So I just hope that the Holy Spirit used me, that God used me this morning because, again, I'm not a biblical scholar. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a preacher. I'm an everyday guy from West Palm Beach living down in Delray, living a better life that God has given me. And I appreciate your time. You guys be blessed. God darn it.